Okay, so get this. Somebody they just sent me like a whole stack of notes, right? And they're all about these like crazy interesting talks that are happening about AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It sounds like even Meta's been like involved.
You seriously?
And get this, hold on. They're not just like, talking about the tech itself. They're talking about how humans and AI can like actually work together.
Huh. Interesting.
It's wild. We're even like dipping our toes into the deep end, talking about things like, wait for it, consciousness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You heard that right? Oh, and
Yeah.
you got to keep an ear out for something called Agent Tutor. It's seriously cool stuff.
Okay, well, what I find super fascinating here is, the notes say that all these talks, these discussions, they started by really focusing on what they call like minimal requirements for AI development.
Right. It was all about like open dialogue, ethical considerations, and this whole idea of like human AI teamwork,
Right.
which I mean that almost sounds too simple, right?
It does.
But the notes say they made a ton of progress because they started with these basic principles.
Totally. Totally. I mean, think of it this way, right? Like, you wouldn't build a skyscraper without, any safety regulations, right?
Right.
These minimal requirements, they're kind of like safety regulations for AI.
Oh,
Without them, things could get super unpredictable and not in a good way.
that makes sense. And speaking of safety, the notes mentioned something called like multimodal AI security.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds a bit like something straight out of like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
What does it even mean?
So, okay, imagine, right, a security system for your computer, but it's way more advanced than anything we've got today. Like, not only does it have antivirus software, right, but it can recognize like suspicious patterns in the way you type or even use your mouse. And
Wow.
it can even analyze like the content of your files to make sure everything's safe. Yeah, it's all about building in like multiple layers of protection, right, into AI systems. That way they're way less likely to be like hacked or misused, you
And it's
know.
like a super smart bodyguard for our AI.
Exactly.
Right.
That's pretty cool. And the more complex AI becomes, the more important like those kinds of security measures are going to be.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're talking about safety and security,
Mm-hmm.
but then there's this whole agent tutor thing, right?
Oh, right.
The notes describe it as like an open source AI assistant, and it's specifically for education.
Uh-huh.
I mean that has the potential to be huge, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. What if anyone, anywhere, could have access to a personalized AI tutor, Like a
Yeah.
tutor that could help them learn like anything they want.
It's kind of
I
crazy.
know, it's wild. It could revolutionize like the way we educate people, make learning more accessible, way more engaging for everyone.
So we're not just talking about kids, doing their homework with a robot.
Right, exactly.
We're talking about like changing the whole education system.
Exactly. And not just like formal education.
Ah.
Imagine using, an AI tutor to learn like a new language
Right.
or pick up a new skill, play guitar
Right.
or even just explore a topic you're curious about.
Okay. Now we're getting into some serious like future stuff here.
I know.
But then hold on, the notes mention a national AI initiative. Is that a real thing, or is that just an idea?
It's more of a vision right now, but it's gaining some serious traction. So imagine a world where like the government, tech companies, universities, they all work together, right? To advance AI research and development.
Wow.
Like we're talking pooling resources, sharing knowledge, collaborating on a like a national scale
Uh,
to make sure that the AI benefits everyone.
that sounds super ambitious, but I guess it makes sense, right? I
Yeah.
mean, AI is going to touch like every part of our lives.
It is.
So it makes sense to have like a national strategy for how we develop and use it.
Right. It's like planning for the future of our country,
Yeah.
but in the age of AI.
Right. Okay, so we've covered security, education, even government involvement.
Oh.
But then things get kind of trippy.
Oh.
There's this note about emergent consciousness.
What?
The idea that AI might like become self-aware. I have to admit that one kind of freaks me out a little.
Yeah. That's definitely where things get really philosophical. Emergent consciousness is this whole idea that AI could like at some point develop a sense of self, like a subjective experience of the world.
Whoa.
I know. It's
Right.
it's hard to wrap our heads around it because we don't even fully understand our own consciousness, you know?
So we're talking about AI that's not just like smart, but actually aware of itself. That's intense.
It is, and it raises some really big questions. Like what would it even mean for a machine to have consciousness? Would it have rights? How would we interact with conscious AI? You know,
Yeah.
these are questions we don't have answers to yet, but they're worth thinking about.
Wow, this is heavy stuff
Yeah.
from practical things like security systems to like these mind-blowing concepts like conscious machines. These notes really packed a punch.
They did. And here's one final thought to leave you with. The notes mention this idea of MAI as a potential step towards something called mechasapien. I mean, we can only speculate what that means, but it definitely makes you think about what the future holds, you know.
A world with mechasapiens. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a whole other deep dive. Until next time, folks.
Until next time.